Hello everyone and welcome to another video of the 10% science mode in KSP. In this stream, the Jolly Roger is finally completed, fueled up and ready to go. So we load up the brave crew on board the Kestrel and send them up there. Mind you that the USS Jolly Roger is an extremely experimental vehicle. Mistakes were made. But anyway, how exactly were we going to burn to Duna and try to save some fuel? In KSP, there are two ways to go to a planet. You can either burn the entire way for the maneuver node, or you can cut it up into tiny little pieces using gravity assist. Granted, I kind of messed up a little bit, but we tried to get the gravity assist feature in there so we could use or not use as much fuel. And it worked, and we were on our way to Duna. In the next stream, we had arrived at Duna. Everybody was excited. See, the only way we were going to slow down is we weren't going to turn around and retrograde burn. We were going to actually slam into the surface. Well, wait. Slam into the atmosphere of Duna, aero braking, in order to slow down, save some fuel. A lot of people in chat be like, it's not going to work. There's no way. You're doing it wrong. That's not how you do it. And I'm just like, you know, there's... You know what? Fucking watch me. Thanks to the trajectories mod, we safely plotted a course for an orbital capture around Duna. Now, polar orbits are pretty good because they allow you to explore every inch of the planet, which is good because in this mission, we're going to do our best in extracting as much science from Duna as possible. After getting into a polar orbit around Duna, it was time to collect as much EVA observational science as possible. Thanks to the science mod, it tells us as much or how much science is left in a certain mission. Definitely recommend getting it. Check the description below. And oh yes, I found out I've only been playing this game since it came out. I found out that you didn't need to have a little Kerbal or a scientist go out there, collect the science from a certain instrument, and restore it all the time. That once you unlock the science module, or science habitational module, whatever, you could literally restore the science modules, or the science devices, remotely through the science module. You didn't have to have a little Kerbal go out there and manually restore them. I probably didn't know that because I never really messed around with the science module until now. It makes things 1,000 times easier, for sure. Especially if you have the science container or the experiment storage unit. You can collect the science, I don't know how. Maybe they got vacuum tubes throughout the ship. I don't know how that works. But you can collect the science using the experimental storage container, and then you can go ahead and clean it using the science module, and then rinse and repeat over and over and over again without ever having a Kerbal to go out there. I did not realize this until much later when my chat was screaming at the top of their lungs trying to let me know. But now I do, so thank you for that. But now it was time to land on Duna. Now these shuttles are experimental as well. The atmosphere of Duna is extremely thin, so thin to the point where wings and stuff don't do a whole lot. They can do something, but not enough to really matter. However, I did put winglets on the shuttles because I wanted the shuttle to have as much control as possible. I would later find out that this was a flaw. But anyway, Captain Jolly Roger would select Iron, the main scientist, to go out on the first surface mission of Duna. It'd be only then that we realized that because Iron is not a pilot, he would not be able to follow retrograde and prograde on his burns. Everything would have to be done manually. Thank goodness we had a probe core on board so that he would have at least stability assist in order to keep him pointed in one direction. However, I was confident in Iron's abilities to be able to do what he needed to do, so we continued on with the mission. For our future reference, whenever we build something that lands on Duna, I think I'm going to have a two-seater, one for a pilot and the other one for whatever mission specialist we need. The landing went pretty smooth. We landed in an area that had 4 biomes right next to each other. This will allow the Kerbal to just drive around and go to all 4 before launching back up into orbit, refueling with the Jolly Roger, and then going back down. That was the plan anyway. Anyway, we land on the planet's surface, plant a flag, do some science, and leave it as a cliffhanger for the next stream. Now, in this stream I wasn't feeling all that great, but we continued the mission anyway, and this is where I learned a hard lesson about the design of the space shuttle. It was supposed to be a very small, compact shuttle that has all of the science gizmos on it that you could possibly, well, that we had unlocked. We were near an area that had 4 biomes right next to each other. It should have been perfect, but the thing that really messed us up the most was the extremely hilly and cliff-like terrain of the area that we were in. These shuttles, when I designed them, I did design them for hilly and mountainous terrain, but the mountainous terrain mixed with the extremely low gravity played some serious havoc on the mechanics of how the shuttle operated. And because of this, Iron would nearly lose his life. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, we can't do this, man. Nope. Oh my gosh! Get out. Get out. Get out! What the hell? I don't have any control. I was pretty ticked off about it because it felt like no matter what I was inputting into the commands, the shuttle wasn't responding the way I would hope it would respond. It's almost like I didn't have enough reaction wheels or whatever the case may be. Ultimately, this would cause a really big dilemma because now poor Iron was stuck on the first surface of Duna and we only had one more shuttle left. And this shuttle was identical to the one that was on Duna. So if we were going to have to worry about these kind of problems being experienced by the shuttles on Duna, we're going to have to change it up a little bit. Mind you, it's not like we can just build a new shuttle and send it to Duna. That's not going to work. So I had to improvise. We would take pieces from the Jolly Roger and ultimately pieces from the, well, that's in the next stream. So on Thursday's stream, the entire stream, well, most of it, was just me rebuilding the shuttle. We literally turned the shuttle bay hangar of the Jolly Roger into a space shuttle shipyard bay of some sort, construction bay. In the words of Mark Watney, we were going to science the hell out of it, only he didn't use hell. We were going to give this shuttle every freaking advantage that I could possibly think of. We were going to scrap the arms on the communication dishes on the Jolly Roger and use them as actual arms on the shuttle. We were going to add more of those experimental storage containers so we could have more science. We were going to take the wings off of the shuttle in order to lighten it up a little bit. Since atmospheric drag was almost non-existent, I wasn't worried about it. We were going to lower its center of mass and bring the gears higher up. And we needed a way to rescue Iron, so we're going to give it another capsule. So I ripped one off of the Jolly Roger and ended up putting it on the shuttle. By the time we were done with the shuttle, it had very little resemblance to what it once was, and that was on purpose. I didn't need a fancy looking flying machine. I needed a utility truck. I needed something that was going to go to Duna and work, and I didn't care how it looked. Ultimately, Snow the engineer would take the shuttle down to Duna. We had the same problem that we had with Iron, not being able to fly it prograde or follow retrograde because he's not a pilot, but if we did it with Iron, we could do it with Snow. Luckily, we landed pretty close. It was just a little itty bitty drive over to where Iron was. I was being asked a lot in the chat that why didn't you just grab Iron and go over to Snow, and that's because we wanted to actually utilize stabilize some of the parts that were on the damaged shuttle. Damaged, more like wrecked. By the time Snow rendezvoused with Iron's shuttle and began tearing it apart piece by piece and adding more parts to the other shuttle, it turned from a rescue mission into a salvage mission, which in my experience, something scary and unplanned suddenly turning it into just another day on the job is actually quite calming and peaceful. Regardless, this hodgepodge of shuttle parts and spaceship parts into what can only be described as an orderly, chaotic masterpiece of a shuttle would be our new means of travel and scientific discovery on the surface of Duna. And then finally on Friday's stream, it was time to finish the mission and gather the science from the biomes that were on Duna. It was actually a really good stream. We had a lot of fun together. Everyone was having a really good time. Although in our haste in order to get down the hillside, we kind of went a little too fast and lost a piece. Luckily, it wasn't a necessary piece, but it would be less stressful if we still had it because it keeps us from flipping over in case of an emergency. Careful. Okay, maybe we should slow down just a little bit. A little too much. Oh, shit! I knew it. At least that's what I thought. This particular design of shuttle, or should I say retrofit, refit, whatever, didn't seem to have that knack of wanting to flip around on its side like the other one did. Granted, I had stolen the landing gear from the other shuttle and placed it on there, so now I had 4 landing gears, but I really think it's because of the fact that the center of mass was actually really, really low to the ground, almost hugging the surface. During the stream, we would stop at some scientific curiosities and gather them, and ultimately we would go to each of the biomes, all 4 of them, and gather the science. It worked out really well. And before we launch back to the Jolly Roger, we're going to empty out all of our little scientific equipment, build like a little makeshift base in a sense, see if it works, because we actually have not unlocked the communications dish for the deployable science. Not sure how that's going to work. But before we launch this thing, I think we need to strip it down and leave a bunch of unnecessary parts on the ground in order to increase our delta V. In order to get back into Duna's orbit, you need at least around 1200 meters per second delta V. So for safety reasons, I'm going to go for maybe 1400 meters per second delta V, just to allow any errors or anything of that nature, because again, Iron and Snow are not pilots and they cannot follow prograde in order to do a kind of natural gravity turn. Everything's going to be janky and manual. I think we had close to 1700 meters per second delta V left over, so we're good on fuel. A lot of people were very worried about the design of the craft, whether or not it could actually get back up into orbit, but I kind of look at it this way. We've got reaction wheels in the back. We've got 2 command pods, both have reaction wheels. We salvaged the RCS from the other shuttle. The Terrier engine is something like the TWR of 2 point something on the surface of Duna. We should technically be fine. So at the end of Friday's stream, I left it on a nice little scenic view in preparations for the return trip back to the Jolly Roger. Finally, on Saturday's live stream, we made it to the remaining biomes, got the remaining science, and we were even lucky enough to find a surface feature that completed one of the missions using the robotic arm. Now, the robotic arm was tucked away the way it was designed to in the first place, only to find out that that wouldn't have worked because it was too far away, too high up. Even though I lowered the body down lower to the ground, it was still too high up, which means that the shuttle itself, the stock version, would have probably, well, it would have had to tuck its gears back in order to reach whatever it was reaching had it not exploded. That's okay. We had Snow Kerman, he was an engineer, simple fix, and we were good to go. But now we had an extra arm still on top of the craft, so that one on the right that we were using as kind of a balancing pogo stick, we went ahead and replaced. So it worked out pretty well. After that, we built a makeshift camp with all the mobile science. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to work, honestly, because we don't have the communications dish mobile science part, but I had them, so I might as well go ahead and use them, regardless if it works or not. It's added weight to the craft, might as well dump it. After that, they were pretty much ready to go. Made sure we were in line, took a bunch of parts off of the craft to try to increase our delta V, made like a little junk pile inside. Yep, nothing like a little garbage pile to let the universe know that civilization was here. Now, it was funny because everybody in the comments were screaming screaming at me, get it on a hill, put it on a hill. You have to put it on a hill. What are you doing? Use the little pistons on the front sides to raise it up a little bit. You're not gonna make it. And I'm going, look, I know I act crazy. I do. And maybe that's why everybody doubts me so much. But besides the craziness, I'm pretty sure I don't have stupid written on my forehead. Or maybe I do, I don't know. That's when I revealed to the audience the launch system. And it worked beautifully. Here comes the sun. Okay. Why would I be nervous? Why would anybody be nervous? Everybody's cool. Everybody's good. Ha 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 ha. Here we go. All right, okay. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right. In 3. F5. In 3, 2, 1. Launch. Come on, baby. Now here's the thing, when we got up to the Jolly Roger, we ran into the Kraken, and I mean hard. Normally when your engineer is able to take pieces off of a craft, you get those little green ball attachment nodes everywhere. There was none, where there should have been plenty. None, none, none. Pieces were flying around, Orbital mechanics was doing its thing, and I just gave up. I was like, I don't even remember when last time I hit F5. So everybody was agreeing with me to smash the F9 button, and when I did, guess what? I had to launch all over again. No! But that's okay because we knew it worked, so on with the show. But at that time, I was all out of time. So Monday morning, well not Monday morning, Monday afternoon, 5:30 Eastern Standard Time, unless something happens. Of course, always check my posts to make sure on my channel. We will try to rendezvous with the Jolly Roger again, and hopefully the Kraken will stay at bay. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Love you all, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.